YouTube and welcome to another GV anime review, where today I'm reviewing the anime Sakurada Reset or Sagrada Reset. This was a 24 episode anime that I had quite some expectations for. It even stood on the second place in my spring 2017 preview. But unfortunately, animes do not always live up to my expectations. The story of Sagrada Reset takes place in a Japanese city called Sakurada, where every inhabitant has a special ability. So also has our main male character Asai Kei, who possesses a perfect memory. One day Kei meets up with a girl named Misora Haruki, who possesses the ability to reset time up until 3 days into the past. Now, because of Kei's ability, he contains his emotions after such a reset, and they decide to team up with each other to help people. But the more and more that they get involved in the abilities, the more they learn that there are other forces working behind the scenes. In my intro I said that animes don't always live up to my expectations, and unfortunately Sagrada Reset was one of those. Now, despite everything that I'm going to say in this review and everything that I'm going to complain about in a minute, I still believe that at its core, Sagrada Reset is a very good anime. If I take away everything that bothered me, then I find an anime with a very well written story. Sagrada Reset is an anime with a lot of depth. This is a complex anime with a story that has 5 times more depth than your standard seasonal anime. Also, the characters, and especially our 2 main characters, were really well designed. They have very deep, complex and realistic personalities. They are also not your day-to-day anime main protagonists. The effort that has been put in designing these characters and in creating their personality and psychology is something that I applaud. With the characters, also the relationships between them are very complex and deep. During the anime, there emerges some kind of romance between Kei and Haruki, but again, it is everything but your standard anime romance. So overall, the core of this anime was very good and it had huge amounts of potential. But, and I find this extremely unfortunate, the execution of the story was bad, and I mean really bad. In the first place, this anime was really boring to watch. I honestly had multiple times that I almost fell asleep whilst watching Sagrada Reset. The way the story is brought is without any excitement. Even a psychological anime like Sagrada Reset needs to contain some form of excitement and thrill, and I missed that completely here in this anime. Secondly, this anime was incredibly difficult to follow, and I like animes with complicated storylines. But in Sagrada Reset there were multiple episodes where I had absolutely no clue on what was going on. Especially when the second half started, things started to happen where I was completely lost. Like, for instance, in the arc about the dream world. It was so difficult to keep up with everything that was happening, because besides the main story that was happening, there were always other things happening in the background, and relationships between the characters were constantly changing. When we got to the final arc, then I was able to follow again, because there was a clear goal. But most of the time Sagrada Reset confused me. There was also a 2-year time skip at a certain point that I initially completely missed, which only added to my confusion about this anime. There were times that I really had to force myself to watch the next episode, and that is not a good sign. So in my opinion, the execution completely destroyed the well-written core of this story. My assumption is that the light novel, which was the source of this anime, is way and way better. Because a written story in a book lends itself more to such a complicated storyline than an animated adaptation. The book is usually better than the film. So as a conclusion, Sagrada Reset is probably my biggest disappointment of the past year. This could have been a gold anime if the source material was adapted properly with more excitement so that I wouldn't have fallen asleep with it. So overall, with pain in my heart, I am going to rate Sagrada Reset at 2 out of 5 stars. This is such a shame in my opinion. Now I'm not going to say that you shouldn't watch this anime. It isn't because I found it to be boring and confusing that you will too. So if you want to give it a shot, go for it. Maybe you will be more entertained than I was. My recommendation for Sagrada Reset is an anime that I literally just finished, and it did right what Sagrada Reset did wrong. That anime is Steins Gate. Steins Gate also tells a story about time travel, but it did it so much better than Sagrada Reset. Here, the tense atmosphere really makes you sit on the tip of your seat, and some of the reveals that happen deliver the excitement that Sagrada Reset so sorely missed. And with that, I conclude my review of Sagrada Reset. As usual, you can find the full list of all my animes and reviews over at Anime Planet. As usual, I will put a link in the description box down below. Now, if you want me to review a particular anime from this list, please put it in the comments. Also, if you have a recommendation for me, put it in the comments as well. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, visit me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and subscribe to this channel for more reviews in the future. Then I will say arigatou gozaimasu and I will see you all in the next video.